There are stories that slip between the cracks of history. Stories whispered in the desert winds. Stories carried in the quiet pride of men and women who have seen and done things the world will never know. And there are stories that refuse to die. Ours is one of those stories. Ours is a story of ghosts in the sky, of warriors flying machines built by our enemies, learning the rhythm of their wings, the flaws in their metal, the secrets in their movements. Ours is a story of sacrifice, of secrecy, of men and women who walk the line between life and death. Not for glory, not for medals, but so that others might live. And like all great stories, it began with a need. On January 2nd, 1967, in the skies over Vietnam, Colonel Robin Oates pulled off a deception so audacious, so brilliant, that the world still speaks of it in reverence. His F-4 Phantoms flew like F-105 Thunder Chiefs, drawing North Vietnamese MiG-21s into a trap they never saw coming. 7 enemy aircraft fell that day. It was proof that strategy and knowledge could shift the balance of war. But for Captain Gaylord Peck, flying over Vietnam in 1968, that knowledge was still out of reach. He flew 163 combat missions, 50 of them at night, watching too many of his brothers fall. Not because they weren't good enough, but because they didn't know their enemy well enough. What he did not know was that far away, in the deepest shadows of American military intelligence, the seeds of our squadron were already being planted. In January of 1968, the United States got its hands on its first MiG. The work began in silence, in the halls of the Pentagon, behind doors marked with classified warnings and whispered conversations. The blueprint for something unprecedented was drawn. By 1975, Peck, now a major, found himself in the quiet, calculated corridors of the Air Staff Operations Directorate, where ideas either gathered dust or changed the world. Before this, he had been in the cockpit, in the heat of it, an instructor at Nellis Air Force Base F-4 Fighter Weapons School, where he and a handful of others had spoken in the shorthand of warriors, tossing around an idea, a fleeting thought, nothing more. But thoughts, when given the right mind in the right moment, become something else. Now in this new post, with the ear of the right people and the weight of his own convictions, he could take the idea, simple, radical, necessary, and turn it to something no one had ever done before. Not just a plan, not just another program, a revolution in the sky. He pitched the unthinkable, an entire squadron dedicated to flying enemy aircraft, studying them, mastering them, teaching our own pilots how to fight and win. Not just a training program, a fortress of knowledge, a crucible. In a place so remote, so desolate, so secret that even ghosts might fear getting lost, he found it. 60 miles northwest of Groom Lake, in a forgotten patch of Nevada, there was a scar of a runway cracked and worn, overlooked and perfect. The 4477 test and evaluation flight was born on April 1st of 1977, and we became something no one had ever been before. We were the Red Eagles. We were handpicked, the best of the best from the U.S. Air Force, the Navy, the Marines, bound together by duty, by secrecy, by the thrill of learning what no one else knew. And we carried it every day in the steel and fire of MiGs, aircrafts that should have been our enemies, but now became our teachers. We learned their strengths, we learned their weaknesses. We passed that knowledge to every pilot who would ever fight a Soviet-made aircraft. We made sure that when the time came, our brothers and sisters in the sky would not just survive, they would dominate. And like all great missions, we paid a price. August 23, 1979. The desert wind murmured low and restless, shifting over a sky so vast, so impossibly endless, it swallowed men whole and never answered back. Navy Lieutenant Hugh Brown, Bandit 12, climbed into his MiG-17, felt the heat rising off the tarmac, the weight of the machine settling beneath him like an old promise. He took off, vanished into that boundless Nevada sky, and never came home. October 21st, 1982. Another morning, another flight. Another man who belonged to us, who was us. U.S. Air Force Captain Mark Ely, Bandit 25, stepped into his MiG-23, strapped in, felt the hum of the engine beneath his ribs. The pulse of something greater than himself. He took off, rode the sky into silence, and did not return. They were not just names on the list, not just figures in the report filed away in some sterile classified archive. They were men who walked among us, laughed with us, flew with us. Their loss was not an entry in the ledger. It was a hollow space, an emptiness that echoed in the steel and wind and fire of everything we did. Because the truth of flying, the truth of war, the truth of brotherhood is this. When one of us is lost, we are all diminished. When one of us is lost, we all feel it. But we did not stop. We could not stop. We trained relentlessly, pushing limits, testing the edge of what was possible. We turned the unknown into knowledge. We turned knowledge into dominance. And yet the world did not know our names. We were not in the headlines. We were not celebrated in parades. Because we were never supposed to exist. For years, our mission remained classified, our work buried in the archives in the unknown, until the day came in 1988 when the 4477th was closed, its purpose fulfilled. But here's the truth, the real truth, the Red Eagle truth. We were never disbanded because we are here today, together, standing in this room. Because we are more than a squadron, we are a family, forged in the fire of secrecy, duty, and honor. Because we changed the course of history, and history will always remember the echoes of our work, even if our names are never spoken aloud. Because when the world asks, who kept our skies safe? The answer is written in the wind, in the air, above every battlefield, in the hands of every pilot who ever lived to see another mission. We did. The Red Eagles did. And when we leave this room tonight, we will carry this story with us, not as a memory, not as a legend, but as a truth that will never die. We were the Red Eagles. We are the Red Eagles. And we always will be.